Hi, I'm Rosie. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to talk about what it means when a recipe asks you to cream together ingredients. Now, in this case, we're going to talk about creaming ingredients for baked goods, and it may sometimes vary from savory foods. But it doesn't take very many ingredients, and it doesn't take a lot of equipment, and it takes very little time. Let's get started. Your ingredients are some type of fat, usually butter or shortening, although you can use cream cheese and sour cream. One thing to remember is that you want the butter and the shortening and the cream cheese, if you're using it, to be at room temperature. Soft enough to blend, but not so soft that it's melting. And some type of sugar. And oftentimes the recipes will ask you to cream the eggs in with the mixture as well. The equipment is also pretty basic. A mixer. I have a stand mixer, but you don't need a stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer as well. And you can also do this with a bowl and a spoon without any electric mixer. It's a lot more work, but that's the way they used to do it anyway. So let's get started. Let's start with the butter. I'm going to make mine with shortening today because I'm going to make this recipe for chocolate chip cookies. So we'll start with the shortening. And then I'm going to add my sugar and my brown sugar. Now I'm going to start the beaters kind of slow because I don't want that sugar to come blowing up in my face. And to help it along, I'm going to push the ingredients into the beaters as it's moving. This will help the sugar and the shortening blend together well. Make sure you scrape down the sides so that all of the ingredients are mixing in together. Now this is starting to take on some shape and it's starting to kind of stick together, and that's a good thing. So I can set up the speed a little bit higher. You don't want sugar and shortening to be flying around the kitchen, but you do want it to blend together. So you keep pushing it into the beaters as it turns around. You'll see you don't have to scrape the sides of the bowl too much when it gets going, but you do want to make sure you get all the ingredients off of the spatula and then incorporate that back in again too. So you can see this is mixing up quite nicely. Now this recipe for chocolate chip cookies calls for an egg to be creamed in together, as well as some vanilla. I'm going to turn the beater back on, and I don't have to be as cautious about how slow it starts because the egg really isn't going to go anywhere. But I am going to keep pushing the material back into the beaters. Now I want to increase the speed a little bit. Increasing the speed of the beaters really helps you incorporate some air into the mixture, which really helps to cream it up. And just the addition of that egg into the mix has really started making a nice creamy texture, which is exactly what we're looking for. And we're going to beat this until it gets to a nice texture, smooth texture. Although it's not going to be silky, it's not going to be like yeast dough. The sugar is not going to completely dissolve in the butter and the egg, but it will kind of soften the sugar. And that's really important. The most common mistake people make when they're creaming is not creaming it long enough. If you don't cream it long enough, your sugar hasn't had a chance to incorporate in the butter and the egg, and your cookies or your cakes have a grainier texture to it. And this looks pretty good. This is what well-creamed foundation looks like. You can see it's got some volume, and it also has some airy texture to it. Doesn't look anything like what we started, did it? This is going to make a great foundation for chocolate chip cookies, as it will for any of your baked goods. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Rosie. I loved having you in my kitchen today, and I hope you'll join me again for other cooking instruction and tips, as well as recipes on newbiesinthekitchen.com.